Think Florida is all about crowded beaches and sky-high prices? What if we told you it's also home to hidden gems where sunsets, charm, and affordability come together? Today, we're counting down the most beautiful places in Florida to retire, and some of them might just surprise you. Number 10. Mount Dora. What kind of Florida town builds a lighthouse that doesn't even sit by the ocean? Mount Dora does. And it's just the first hint that this lakeside city doesn't play by the usual rules. Tucked into Lake County, this is a place where antique shops share streets with art galleries, where downtown glows under cafe lights, and where the Mount Dora Arts Festival each February floods the sidewalks with color and music. With about 17,000 residents, Mount Dora has just enough bustle to stay lively, but never overwhelming. Festivals almost seem to happen on schedule. Wooden boat parades turning the lakefront into a floating museum, or jazz nights tucked into underground clubs that feel like secrets. And when the day winds down, the Ice House Theater keeps the lights on with plays, concerts, and community shows that remind you culture isn't just for big cities. But what's the everyday rhythm here? Picture mornings on a dock, the mist lifting as herons cut across Lake Dora. Cafes spill onto brick sidewalks. Pocket parks invite a quiet pause beneath moss-draped oaks. And just beyond town, a necklace of lakes. Beauclair, Gertrude, Dora itself means you never run out of horizons to watch change colors. Practicalities matter too, and Mount Dora doesn't leave them behind. Advent Health facilities sit minutes away in Tavares, while Waterman Village anchors a full continuum of senior living, independent homes, assistant care, memory support, and skilled nursing, all within one community. And then there's the part most people don't expect: the math. Homes tend to list between $330,000 and $380,000, while two-bedroom rentals averaged about $1,800 a month, numbers that surprise anyone used to Florida's coastal prices. Assisted living runs around $3,800 a month, a notch below many metro averages. Groceries hover near $330 per person monthly, utilities around $160. And Florida's tax setup? No income tax, no levy on Social Security, and homestead exemptions that lighten property bills, keeping budgets from feeling squeezed. Mount Dora may feel like a storybook, but turn the page and you'll find a backyard where engines roar, lakes shimmer, and hammocks whisper under the moss. Number 9. Sebring. If you've ever pictured a town where roaring race cars and lazy lake mornings somehow coexist, Sebring, home to about 11,000 souls, is that rare blend. Right in the middle of Florida, it greets you with two extremes at once: the hum of history from the Sebring International Raceway and the hush of cypress trees swaying over still water. Downtown tells its story through Circle Drive, where antique shops line up alongside the Highlands Museum of the Arts inside century-old buildings. By the weekend, the square shifts into something more alive: live music, art walks, and even the Highlands Art Festival. But here's the twist: Sebring isn't just one lake town, it's 100 of them. Highlands Country holds more than 100 lakes, with Lake Jackson shimmering at the city's center. Its shoreline is a community playground, piers for fishing, picnic tables for weekend cookouts, and sunrise views that make you wonder how homes here can still list between $180,000 and $230,000. Some even back right onto the water. Imagine paying less than half of what coastal Florida charges and still sipping your morning coffee with a view like that. And when it comes to the things that matter most, safety and care, Sebring holds steady. Advent Health Sebring anchors the region's medical services with everything from heart care to rehab, while assisted living options range from modest family-run residences to resort-style setups overlooking Gulf fairways. Monthly costs for those services usually fall between $3,500 and $3,800, which is still below the state average. If Sebring mixes quiet lakes with racing thunder, the next stop steers coastal, where salt air fills art galleries and life moves with equal parts grace and ease. Number 8. Vero Beach. What happens when ocean breezes brush past art galleries and historic streets, you get Vero Beach, a coastal town that feels both timeless and surprisingly fresh. With a population just under 17,000, Vero Beach holds on to its small city feel while offering details that feel much bigger. Downtown's circle of life? Not exactly. Instead, it's a cluster of boutiques, antique shops, and the Vero Beach Museum of Art waiting around every corner. But here's the fun part. Step just a few blocks away, and you'll find the Indian River Lagoon, one of the most biodiverse estuaries in the country. The beaches? They each play a different tune. South Beach spreads wide, great for lazy afternoons. Humiston Park adds that classic boardwalk charm. And JC Park, with its breezy pavilions, makes weekends feel like someone planned them in advance. Homes along these stretches don't always come with shocking price tags either. Many settle around $350,000 to $370,000, while tucked-away condos sometimes surprise buyers by dipping lower. And rent for a cozy spot near these pockets of nature? Typically somewhere between $1,300 and $1,700, depending on how close you want to be to the shoreline. And just when you think it's all about scenery, the practical side shows up too. Cleveland Clinic Indian River Hospital anchors the healthcare scene with full-service options, while Encompass Health nearby handles rehabilitation. Assisted living communities weave into the fabric of town as well. From Sodalus with its apartments to the Brinity with pools and garden ponds. Monthly cost? Often between $3,700 and $4,000, though the resort-style amenities tend to blur the line between necessity and luxury. From Vero's polished beaches and gallery walks, we drift westward to a Gulfside escape where sunsets paint the sky in wild colors, and the streets carry a cozy, small-town beat. Number 7. Dunedin. Ever heard bagpipes under palm trees? In Dunedin, it's not a joke. Every spring, the Highland Games fill the air with Scottish tunes, caber tosses, and kilts swaying under the Gulf Coast sun. The city of about 36,000 wears its quirks proudly, mixing old-world pride with Gulf breezes, sandy beaches, and a downtown that somehow manages to feel both artsy and laid back. Here, water isn't just scenery. It's a way of life. The Dunedin Causeway juts straight into the Gulf like an invitation, ending at Honeymoon Island State Park, where fiery sunsets turn the sand into gold. Even ordinary days carry a little color. Morning coffee often comes with the sound of bikes rolling along the Pinellas Trail, a 45-mile path that slices right through downtown. Shops take their time opening, but by dusk, the pace picks up again. Live music spilling from patios, gallery doors open for an art walk, or a pop-up event at the History Museum reminding everyone of Dunedin's Scottish roots. Peace of mind is built into daily life too. Meath Dunedin Hospital anchors emergency and inpatient care, while larger cities in nearby Clearwater expand access to specialists. For seniors planning ahead, the choices are broad. Salterra offers assisted living and memory care, while Meath Life provides everything from independent apartments to skilled nursing. Assisted living here averages around $3,250 a month, often more manageable than in bigger coastal cities, and paired with strong medical access, it creates a safety net that feels close and reliable. So what about putting down roots? Is Gulf Coast charm always out of reach? Homes here often run between $420,000 and $500,000, with condos and smaller houses dipping lower. Rentals for two-bedroom hover around $1,800 to $2,000. Groceries average close to $330 per person monthly, and utilities usually land in the $160 to $180 range. Dunedin may charm with bagpipes and sunsets, but next comes a beach town where surfboards outnumber kilts, history meets the Atlantic, and waves set the tempo. Number 6. New Smyrna Beach. Imagine waking up in town where surfboards lean casually against cafe walls, historic cottages sit just blocks away from the Atlantic, and the smell of salt water lingers no matter how far you wander inland. That's New Smyrna Beach, a coastal gem of about 31,000 people that somehow manages to feel artistic, laid back, and endlessly surprising all at once. On one side, steady waves from the Atlantic roll in like a soundtrack. On the other, the Indian River Lagoon stays classy and calm, waiting for paddlers and anglers. Between the two, life finds its rhythm in the Coronado Historic District, Flagler Avenue, and Canal Street, neighborhoods where brick sidewalks meet pastel storefronts, galleries nestle beside little restaurants, and the whole place still carries traces of old Florida charm. Healthcare fits seamlessly into the picture. Right in town, options like Seashore Senior Living and Alba Court Residences keep support close to the historic core, places you can walk to from Canal Street or Old Fort Park. For larger-scale needs, Daytona Beach is just a short drive away, home to full medical centers and specialists that cover nearly everything. Add in pharmacies tucked into town and local transit that loops through neighborhoods, and suddenly daily errands don't feel like chores, just part of the rhythm. So what does it really cost to live with ocean views and historic charm? Homes often list between $380,000 and $450,000, whether it's a cottage in the historic district or a place that looks straight out of the Atlantic. Rentals for 2-bedroom hover around $2,000. Not exactly cheap, but when you factor in the views, it's about as good as it gets. Before we move on, don't forget to like and drop a comment. Which of these spots do you think deserves the crown as the most beautiful place in Florida to retire? Number 5. Inverness. Picture a town where the evenings end in stillness, the mornings start with lake reflections, and the biggest traffic jams usually involve bicycles on a trail. That's Inverness, a tucked-away spot in Citrus County that wears its peace proudly. The city proper counts fewer than 8,000 residents, but that small number belies just how much space is stretched across parks, preserves, and trails. Downtown keeps its charm intact, but the real heartbeat flows through the outdoors. The Withlacoochee State Trail begins here, running 46 paved miles for walkers, bikers, and anyone who thinks a gentle ride through shaded woods sounds better than another highway commute. And just south, Fort Cooper State Park throws in trails, lake swimming, and picnic spots, the kind of weekend mix that feels like a standing invitation. Inverness's affordability is often what makes people look twice. Homes are typically priced well under coastal Florida averages, and many come in around $220,000 to $260,000, numbers that would be unthinkable near Orlando and Tampa. Rentals hold steady too, often sitting in the $1,200 range for a 2-bedroom. Assisted living costs? They tend to land between $3,900 and $4,000 a month, which keeps them slightly under the state's usual price tag. For care and convenience, Inverness doesn't make life complicated. Citrus Health and Rehabilitation, Arbor Trail, and Avante at Inverness cover skilled nursing and rehab needs, while smaller 55-plus communities and assisted living residences add choice without overwhelming you. And when daily errands pop up, groceries, pharmacies, and local clinics are close enough to keep car rides short. Even the Lakes Region Library doubles as a social hub. One week, you'll find Tai Chi. The next, it might be a painting class or tech help session. Inverness may flow with lakes and trails, but the next stop trades water for pastures, horse farms where hooves drum the earth, and historic streets with a timeless rhythm. Number 4. Ocala. What town greets you with rolling pastures instead of traffic lights? Where mornings might start with the sound of hooves instead of horns? That's Ocala, the horse capital of the world, where fields stretch like patchwork quilts and sleek thoroughbreds graze as if they own the place. Nearly 65,000 residents live here, and somehow the city keeps its mix of countryside calm and downtown charm in balance. How does it pull that off? That's part of the magic. The outdoors never sit still. Just east, Ocala National Forest stretches with over 600 lakes, rivers, and springs. Silver Spring State Park adds a bit of showmanship with glass-bottom boat rides. Drift over water so clear you'll wonder how it even holds you up. A kayak launch here costs nothing, but homes nearby can run as little as $250,000 to $280,000, especially if you're not chasing acreage. For Florida, that feels like catching a secret before it gets out. Healthcare keeps pace with the lifestyle. Advent Health Ocala anchors the region with full-service care. Everything from emergencies to specialized stroke treatment. Senior living blends in seamlessly too. Communities like the Windsor or Bridgewater Park offer independent apartments that can transition to assisted living, memory care, or skilled nursing. Many of these communities hover around $3,700 a month, comfortably under the state's coastal averages, yet they layer in courtyards, social clubs, and wellness centers. From galloping hooves to sea breezes, the next stop is a coastal town of Victorian porches, shaded streets, and island charm that never goes out of style. Number 3. Fernandina Beach. How many towns can brag about shrimp boats, Victorian porches, and a festival dedicated entirely to seafood? Fernandina Beach can, and every spring, the Isle of Eight Flags Shrimp Festival fills its streets with parades, music, and the smell of fried shrimp drifting between historic buildings. What other seaside town makes shellfish its calling card and still feels this elegant? Just under 13,000 people call it home, yet it feels bigger than the number suggests. Old Town shows off some of Florida's finest Victorian architecture, shaded beneath oak canopies that have stood for centuries. Downtown, brick streets wind past galleries, cafes, and cozy bookstores, each adding its own layer of charm. And then comes the coastline, wide beaches rolling out in every direction, perfect for sunrise shell hunts or a sunset walk when the tide leaves its treasures behind. Who wouldn't wonder how so much character fits into one island? Daily life has its anchors. Fort Clinch State Park sits like a guardian at the island's northern tip. Civil War-era walls, trails through estuarine marshes, shaded picnic spots, and oceanfront views all in one. And if you're after something a little more surreal, Boneyard Beach on nearby Big Talbot Island waits with its ghostly driftwood trees rising from the sand. Isn't it strange how beauty can be haunting and peaceful at the same time? Of course, this kind of charm doesn't come with bargain tags. Homes often list from around $480,000 and can climb past $600,000, depending on whether you're eyeing oceanfront or the historic district. Rentals for 2 bedrooms hover near $2,100, while assisted living in communities like Osprey Village or the lakeside at Amelia Island usually starts in the mid-$4,000s. Even in-home care averages $17 to $20 per hour, not the lowest in Florida, but here it's part of a lifestyle where convenience and elegance meet. Healthcare, at least, doesn't play hard to get. Baptist Medical Center Nassau sits right in town for emergencies and senior care, and rehabilitation centers nearby add another layer of security. Meanwhile, upscale communities like Savannah Grand treat daily living more like resort life. Wellness programs, chef-prepared meals, social hubs. Isn't it funny how retirement here looks more like a vacation brochure? Fernandina Beach may boast shrimp festivals and Victorian porches, but next comes a harbor town where golden sunsets spill over calm waters and evening walks set the rhythm. Number 2. Punta Gorda. Some towns rush. Punta Gorda lingers. The harbor walk stretches nearly 3 miles along Charlotte Harbor, a waterfront path where every evening turns into a show. Pelicans skim the surface, sailboats sway at their docks, and the sky unravels into pinks and golds like it's painting just for you. With about 20,000 residents, the city hums with life, but still leaves plenty of room for quiet moments. Downtown leans into charm instead of flash. Fisherman's Village adds a splash of resort flair with its waterfront shops and boat tours. But the heartbeat of Punta Gorda shows up on weekends. The Saturday's farmers market, art fairs filling downtown blocks, and live music drifting through Lashley Park. And somehow, even with all that energy, it never feels crowded. Even in a town built for leisure, the essentials don't miss a step. When ShorePoint Health closed in 2024, nearby hospitals in Port Charlotte and Fort Myers absorbed the gap, offering full-service care and specialists. Local clinics and pharmacies keep things simple, while assisted living communities like Brookdale or Meridian Isles stay woven right into town life. And for long-term peace of mind, The average cost of assisted living runs around $3,800 a month, steady compared to the state's coastal hubs. But here's the question: what does waterfront living actually cost? Inland homes often list between $280,000 and $350,000, while properties close enough to hear the tide climb past $500,000. Rentals add more choice, with 2 bedrooms usually in the mid-1,000s. It's a spread wide enough to let you pick your own version of paradise. But the real rhythm isn't in the numbers. Afternoons slip into fishing trips at Gilchrist Park, bike rides along the harbor walk shaded by palms, or a quiet hour in Lashley Park with a book. After sunsets that linger and harbors that hum, the final stop takes us where crystal springs bubble and gentle giants turn the water into something unforgettable. Number 1. Crystal River. Not many towns can claim neighbors that weigh half a ton and drift through turquoise water, but Crystal River does it with pride. Each winter, hundreds of manatees gather in the springs, turning the steady 72-degree water into something that feels enchanted. Where else can you kayak past a gentle giant in the morning, then wander downtown for fresh seafood by sunset? Crystal River is small, just over 3,000 residents. Yet life here spills far beyond its city limits. Kings Bay sits at the center, a cluster of first-magnitude springs where pontoon boats, kayaks, and paddleboards all glide across glassy water. A short drift leads to 3 sister springs, famed for its aquamarine clarity and wooden boardwalks winding over the pools. Prefer land to water? Preserves nearby offer shaded trails, bird watching, and that rare hush when woods and wetlands overlap. Downtown keeps things cozy and unpretentious. Vintage shops and spots like the Crab Plant or Cody's Roadhouse dish out laid-back seafood, while weekend festivals, from the Stone Crab Jam to the Florida Manatee Festival, bring people together without overwhelming the streets. Evenings can mean grouper tacos on a patio, a concert in Town Square, or simply sitting at Hunter Springs Park, watching the bay glow in the colors of a Florida sunset. The practical side doesn't get lost in all this beauty. TGH Crystal River provides full-service hospital care, while Crystal River Health and Rehabilitation adds rehab and skilled nursing. Assisted living communities like Cedar Creek or Sunshine Gardens blend into neighborhoods rather than standing apart, offering memory care, daily living support, and transportation without feeling clinical. Average assisted living here runs around $3,600 to $3,800 a month, lower than many coastal Florida towns. So how much does it actually cost to live in a town where manatees are your neighbors? Inland cottages and modest homes often list around $220,000 to $260,000, while springfront or Gulf-adjacent properties climb toward $400,000 and beyond. Rentals follow the same rhythm. 2 bedrooms away from the water often hover around $1,200 to $1,400, while apartments or cottages with spring or bay views push closer to $1,700 to $1,900. Still, when much of the entertainment is free, swimming in the springs, spotting dolphins on a boat ride, or strolling through wildlife preserves, the value stretches further than the price tag suggests. We hope you enjoyed this video. Here's another one you don't want to miss. Thanks for watching.